Hi all, welcome to my YouTube channel again. So today we are going to discuss about the Amazon Elastic Container Service Part 2. And in this session, I'm going to discuss about the below topics, which is about this ECS. And also in the previous session, I have already explained you about the part. In part 1, I have already explained you about setting up an Nginx on ECS. So this is a continuation part 2. So I'm going to explain about this in the session. And if you want to check out this blog, check that from this link which I will be keeping in the description box. And let's start now. Yes, this I have already explained in the previous session. Please go through that video if you are continuing this part. And I will just simply explain you about this. If you want to check in detail, you can go and watch that session, or you can just go through this blog where I have already explained everything in detail. So, Stick Container Service is a container orchestration tool. So, this is a service which is provided by the AWS. So, it will allows you to manage Docker containers on a cluster of virtual machines, which is nothing but EC2 instances. So without having to manage underlying infrastructure, you can just simply run your applications on these containers, which is easier for you to deploy, manage, and scale your containerized applications using the AWS Management Console. ECS also integrates with other AWS services, which is load balancing and auto scaling and VPC, allowing you to create, build scalable and highly available applications. So overall, ECS is a powerful and flexible container orchestration service that can help simplify the deployment and management of containerized applications in AWS. So let's go through the task, create task definition. So in Amazon Elastic Compute Container Service, you can just go through this console page, and in order to run the cluster, we need to create a task. In the previous session, we have already created the cluster. Here we are creating a task which is used to run the cluster. So navigate to the task definition and click on create the task definition, create new task definition. So here go to the public elastic container repository, which is ECR. So this is a repository for our containers. So this is where you can copy your Nginx image. In this ECR Elastic Container repository, you can store the Nginx image URLs, so that whenever it is starting that container, it will fetch the image from here. You can just copy the URL, then click on this launch with app runner. In the task provided the Nginx image details along with the port mappings for the image. So you can see the port mappings also here. Depending on where your application needs to be run, you can just give the ports there. Mm, Here in this screen, you can see the ports, and after giving all the necessary information, you can just click on next. These details, if you want to go through, you can check the blog from where I will be keeping the link. So from there you can access this blog or provide the CPU and memory according to the requirement. Here, depending on the requirement of your application, you can just provide the CPU and the memory, and then click on next, then preview and create the task. Now the task got created. Now we can run this task on the container cluster we have created in the previous session. So the task is now created. You can see here. Previously here there was nothing because there was no task which got created. Now since it got created, you were able to see the Nginx task. Now after creating this task, you need to create a service. So we need to create a service in the cluster. So navigate to the cluster, create, and go to the service section to create a service. Okay, so after going into the cluster screen, here you can see the services, which is 0. Now we need to create a service here. Just simply click on the create, then use this default settings itself. Then choose the family to specify the task that was already created with the particular version if you had created multiple same task previously. So here you can select in the family drop down, you can select the task which you have created. If you have created multiple tasks, then you can just simply select the one which you want or required for the application to run. Then after that, choose the security groups and ensure the security group have port 80 open, else you can also find. You can also create a new security group instantly and open the HTTP. You can choose directly the port 80, or you can just simply create a security group that instantly open the HTTP port. So after that, just click on create. Now the service will get created. Now navigate to the cluster and choose the task. So copy the public IP to access the URL. So here in this cluster, there is a under the configuration, there is a public IP. You can see. You can just copy this URL and then give that in the web. Give that in the browser. Then you can see welcome to Nginx, which is nothing but in the background it is running. The image got downloaded and the container got created and it is running in the background so that we can able to access this web page. That's all about today. Here in this session we have created how we have worked on setting up this Nginx on ECS. First we have created cluster, and then we have created the task which to run the cluster we need to create a task, so that's why we have created the task. After that we have created a service where we have attached this where we have attached this task to that cluster, and then when the container is running we can just access that using the public IP which is present on the cluster. When we give that IP in the web browser, we can directly see that the application is up and running and the welcome page for the Nginx. So that's all about today. So thanks for watching. In this session, we have covered everything about the ECS and one example for setting up an Nginx on ECS. Yeah. That's all for today. If you want to check out this blog, check that from this link which I will be keeping in the description box, and thanks for watching.